Are you a fan of Martini Window? Why not like, subscribe, or buy us a coffee at martiniwindow.com or the link in our description. Now enjoy the show. Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Schultz.
And I am Kayla Howard.
We love movies.
And we love talking about them.
And this is the Martini Window. And today we have a wonderful guest. We have the director of such films as Everyone Must Die, the cult classic Carousel, as well as the Chainsaw Award-winning film, An Amityville Christmas. Everyone give it up for Mr. Steve Rudzinski.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Hey, you're welcome. It's the least I can do for folks like you. I appreciate it. It's the little people that make a difference. Little people like you.
Aw, thanks.
Steve, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, legitimately, thanks for having me on. Getting to revisit one of my favorite films in August was a blast, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. But I am Steve Rudzinski. I'm a micro-budget, independent horror and family film filmmaker. I've been doing this as my career for 15 years this year. It's a big year.
Holy!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's insane. I don't make much, but I make enough to pay my mortgage in a low-cost area, so I'll call that a success.
That is 1,000 times better than most of us filmmakers are doing.
There's something to be said for being a working filmmaker and being able to make that work.
Very heavy emphasis on the working filmmaker. I'm doing so much all the time because that's what we have to do anymore. But yeah, as Kevin said, I did the Carousel trilogy. It's probably my most known series. If not that, then my Meowy movies, which are a series of talking cat movies, are huge with kids. Amityville Christmas Vacation was named by Fangoria as the best Amityville, and I'll take that as making horror history, which is incredible. Newest film is actually another Wall-E movie from the Meowy movies, Wall-E meets Popeye. But the last larger film that I'm very proud of that is still, I'm trying to push it, is Curtains for Christmas, a great parody of Christmas Hallmark rom-coms with a lot of violence. I like live-action cartoons, as you may already guess by my film choice today. My biggest inspirations would be Sam Raimi, directing-wise, Bruce Campbell, acting-wise, but also right next to them is, without a doubt, John Arcieri, directing-wise, and Jim Varney, acting-wise. I love it when a movie is over-the-top and silly and ridiculous and, again, a live-action cartoon, but it still has a lot of earnest emotion and heart and storytelling. That's the sort of stuff I love.
The emphasis on Ernest?
Which on that note brings us to our movie of this discussion. Steve, you opted to talk about, as you mentioned, John Arcieri and Jim Varney's Ernest Saves Christmas, or is it Ernest Saves Santa? Apparently there's a bit of a back and forth about that.
It got renamed Ernest Saves Santa.
Oh my goodness.
Probably in international markets or something.
All right. Well, for the sake of this podcast, we'll call it Ernest Saves Christmas. If anybody wants to send hate mail, we have a direct message. So
Send to North Pole.
Okay, so Ernest Saves Christmas. I'll be honest with you. I've actually never seen an Ernest movie until this one.
Wow, well, this is a great first one. It really is.
All of them were directed by John Arcieri, if I'm not mistaken. He created the character with Jim Varney.
Yes.
In the original commercials.
Yes, it was John's creation along with Jim. At first, Purity Milk owned the rights to the character because originally John developed the character for Purity Milk commercials. And that's why if I ever got my dream to make an Ernest P. Worrell legacy sequel, it would be about Ernie Jr. trying to find out what his dad's middle name was, and the result would be the P stands for purity.
Please tell me if you get to make this, you can cast John Cena as his son.
Sorry, I get to play Ernest's son. Cena can be Uncle Bernie. He can be Ernest's brother.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jail was the third one, and Stupid was the fourth one. And then Ernest Rides Again was the fifth and final theatrical release, and it was nowhere near as good. But I like a lot of the direct-to-DVD ones. But these four theatricals are all just magical. It's crazy. I'll get into it during the actual chat. But I love the concept that John Arcieri and Jim Varney made this commercial character in the South for no money and just did all these ads, and now they're being given millions of dollars by Disney to just redo all of their commercial gags. The Vern sequence in this, even when I was a kid, I lost my mind because I'd seen the commercials first, and he always bothered Vern in the commercials. So when camp didn't have Vern, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Vern's here, baby. We're back.
So for us over here in Canada, Jim Varney and Ernest is a movie character completely to no other extension. So it's kind of interesting to find out the Vern sequence was a carryover from.
Yeah. Like, that's a huge moment for fans of the character.
That's so interesting because the immediate vibes I got from this movie when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, this feels like Wayne's World. And what you were saying absolutely translate to that when I was watching movies. I saw Wayne's World on SNL and then it became a movie, but it really does seem to have that kind of vibe.
Kind of a similar pipeline there.
No, absolutely. And if you watch the other Disney released theatrical films, not every film does every commercial bit, but by the time you finish all the theatrical films, you've seen most of the commercial bits. Because it was crazy what they did with Ernest. Like, again, he was doing ads for a milk company. He got a big deal with the Coca-Cola company because they were pushing the Mellow Yeller move for
Right.
advertising Mellow Yellow.
I was going to say the Coca-Cola product placement and as well as Bic is definitely not subtle in this movie.
Oh no, not at all. In Ernest Scared Stupid, milk is what kills the troll, and they use purity milk, which I love. You know, I love
That is hilarious.
John never forgot like the roots of where the character came from, and he kept referencing that stuff. But he
Oh,
also he
man.
would do like local banks. He would do like one singular car dealership down in the South. Like, this character did hundreds and hundreds of these ads for whoever wanted to pay John Archerry and Jim Varney.
Oh my God, that is fantastic. So they actually owned the character. Like it wasn't owned by Purity, you're saying?
Like I said, Purity owned it at first because they developed the character for the ads, but then John got the rights back. So right now, John Archerry's children own the rights to the character because I fought through hell and brimstone trying to get in touch with them so that when I did my homage to Ernest commercial in my cheesy Christmas small spin-off movie, I would get the permission to name him Ernie Jr., and I could not get in touch with John's kids. I did chat with Bill Gibbons, Jim Varney's agent, for like 5 hours just about Jim Varney. It was wonderful. Great experience, 5 out of 5.
That is so
Oh.
cool.
That's
But-
so cool.
But yeah, they still own the rights to the character, which is really cool.
For anybody listening who has not seen the Ernest movies, Jim Varney might be notable as either one of the cast members from the Beverly Hillbillies movie from the 1990s, or
I love
as the
Beverly
voice of
Hillbillies.
Slink the dog in Toy Story 1 and 2.
So interesting.
I do know that there's a lot of people who are around our age who might not even know who Jim Varney is outside of this.
Him from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
Incredible actor. And again, like, it's crazy how all in Disney was with this character that they didn't create. Like, they used him to promote the brand new ride Splash Mountain. There's a short film called Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain. And it's
No
just
way.
a 20-minute ad for
Really?
Splash Mountain. Yes.
Oh my God. That is hilarious. I mean, I do get it though. Like, I think Kayla, you were talking when we were saying this, when we were watching it. You're saying the character was basically goofy.
Yeah.
He's effectively goofy. Like one of our other episodes we did, we were with Andrew Scott Bell, the composer of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and we were doing a Goofy movie for one of our other episodes. And what's crazy is how much I can see that same, how do you say, like he's got that goofy nature to him. He almost dresses similar to him. He's got that kind of, how do you say, like affable kind of dim-wittedness.
Got well-meaning dim-wittedness where he's not trying to break your house, but don't let him in your house. I like the wiring in my wall, and I like not having to pay to fix that. His friend Vern is so patient.
He has a single line in Ernest Goes to Camp where he talks about how he was in Vietnam. And Ernest always tells tall tales where you assume everything's a lie. But the Vietnam line is so real that it makes me think Ernest saved Vern and Nam. And that's why Vern deals with him forever.
Yeah. I mean, that would certainly be one of the reasons I deal with that constantly.
Well, I actually felt like while watching this movie, the way they dealt with Vern was very interesting because using the kind of Vern is the camera, having Ernest,
Person.
everybody talking directly to Vern really shows the chaos of this man being like, why are these people in my house? What are you doing? Please, oh God, stop.
Feeling
And
almost
that-
smothered.
That's all of the commercials that have Vern.
Oh my God.
In fact, this is just a fan theory in my head. There's nothing to confirm it. But in the very last Ernest movie they made, Ernest in the Army, John Archerry actually plays a character for the first time ever. Like, he's actually on screen and he's Ernest's
okay.
buddy in the movie.
Yeah.
Since John Archerry is always the camera guy as Vern, I take Ernest in the Army as the only Ernest Vern adventure together.
Huh.
You heard it here, folks.
Exactly.
John Archerry's kids, if you're hearing this, this is the man to carry your franchise.
I would die happy man.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to talk going into this. It's not every day well, maybe it is every day for you. It's not every day for me. You sit down and watch a Christmas movie in August. But if nobody knows Rudzinski here, Steve is a Christmas obsessivist.
Yes.
So
And I do watch Christmas all year long. I also watch Halloween all year long, which no one blinks an eye at. But I say watch a Halloween movie in July, they're like, oh yeah, of course. I watch a Christmas movie in July. What are you doing? Why?
people are heartless. That's the only reason why. What I did like about this is like it had such a classic, like it had a classic Christmas story to the whole thing. It was not very much different than the sort of thing you'd see from, Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah.
The Santa Claus with Tim Allen obviously is probably the most direct comparison I could think of in this particular case. But I do really like this. I like that Ernest kind of almost has this Rosencrantz and Guildenstern level of aspect of the story.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of like facilitating somebody else's story. And I mean, is that a common thing with the Ernest movies?
Essentially, yeah, because like Ernest goes to camp. He works at the camp, and he's a, can I swear?
Oh, you can swear and you can
Yeah.
spoil. It's all good.
He's a total dipshit. Like he just works there as like the janitor. And the story is about how this oil baron wants to like close the camp down and like rip it apart. And it's an Indian sacred land that's still, the camp is owned by the natives in the area. So Ernest is just there along for the ride and is trying to help save the camp because he loves it so much. Scared Stupid is actually much more connected with him because his ancestor as a judge is who sealed the troll under the tree, and only Ernest can release the tree, which he does out loud. And it's so ridiculous, and I love Ernest so much.
What is the
Um,
lore of this fucking movie?
Yeah, that's just Ernest Goes to Evil Dead.
Basically, like he's just like, yeah, there's a legend that my great granddad buried him under this, and the only way to bring him back is if I knock on the tree 3 times like this, and then say like this, and he says it. It's just like, Ernest, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it's fantastic.
I feel like Ernest's ghost story would just be him going up to a mirror saying Bloody Mary three
Yeah.
times and being very shocked that Bloody Mary appeared.
So surprised. If you folks like this one, if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of kids horror movies, 1000% recommend watching Scare Stupid if you get the chance, because it is a kids horror movie. Like kids are in danger. They outright get taken by the troll, and I don't want to spoil their fate, but like they're in danger, and it's really cool that John made a PG movie where there is a lot of scares and like jump scares and actual tension, and it's really fun. But also Ernest is there.
Right. So you see somebody get killed, and then you see somebody get decapitated, and then there's Ernest saying, "Don't lose your head over it."
And
Stuff like that.
no, it smash cuts to Ernest like making a troll trap in a dumpster that he bought at the store. It's fantastic.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. One thing I really loved about this movie is Jim Varney, man. Rest in peace, Jim Varney. He was one hell of a rubber-faced actor. Reminds me quite a bit of, it reminds me, just the way the shooting, it reminds me a lot of Martin Feldman from the old Mel Brooks movies. Very similar to how the wide-angle lens just right up on his face, and getting that good sense of just complete clay rubber face going on. Like, just some of the expressions this guy makes throughout the movie. It's like, I remember one time we were watching True Lies, and I pointed out how Tom Arnold's entire role in this movie is just to make one-liners at anything Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing. And I kind of feel like that's Ernest's role in, like, this movie is just to make one-liners and comments to everything else going on in the story while facilitating.
It's not even just his rubber face, it's the sound effects that go with it. You hit the nail on the head when you said it's a live action cartoon. Just, the sound it makes when they roll their eyes, where it
Yeah.
sounds like a Looney Tunes.
That whole,
It sounds like their eyeballs are rattling around in their head while they roll them aggressively from side to side.
I love
Yes.
that though. Just the complete abandonment of any reality in this movie is just a lot of fun. I mean, recently, we
And
saw-
everyone accepts it.
everyone just accepts it. Like nobody
That's what I
questions
love about
this.
it. Yeah.
See-
Like some
see,
people will question my own movies because I follow the same mindset. And like to me, like that's just what the universe is, guys. If you're not signed on, you can leave. I'm not gonna win you over.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, every film has its own internal logic, and you're just like, yep, okay, this doesn't break my suspension of disbelief. Let's go on with it. For example, 2 of my favorite characters in this were the UPS guys with the
Yes.
reindeers on the ceiling.
Oh
And
my
then as
God,
soon
that's
as the
hilarious.
elves get there and they're like, Santa's real, they're like, yep, okay.
And what I find kind of funny is like you got this guy coming in saying like just the reality of that sequence. You have Ernest coming in there being like, these are my reindeer. I'm here for the guy who needs them. It's like, well, you don't have any idea, you don't have anything else. And all
Yeah.
it takes is for the elf to show fucking elf ears, and suddenly, oh, well, you're obviously the right who you say you are. But it's like in that moment, if some guys come up to you being like, yo, those flying reindeer up there are with me, are you really going to question it when there's actual flying reindeer in your room? It's like, I don't know, man. I got people coming in here talking, saying this is their flying reindeer all the damn time. So,
I also love that they got an umbrella for reindeer poop just in case.
Chuck, since this is your first Ernest film, Chuck and Bobby are in all the Ernest movies except for Camp. But Chuck is in Camp, but they didn't have Bill Burge as Bobby yet.
okay.
So they are also, they move around the world with Ernest, apparently.
The movie's just loaded with good character actors, though, like those.
God, yes. I mean, this
Yeah.
is my favorite live action Santa Claus.
Really?
Full stop. Douglas Seal, to me, embodies everything Santa Claus should be. His warmth, his genuineness, his kindness. He's so sweet. I can see the stars in his eyes whenever he's talking about Christmas or the good in people. But he's still got some blood in his veins. You know, he knocks out the director when he gets mad. When the
Yeah.
showgirls walk by, he twirls his mustache because he sees those butts. And I 100% guarantee that not Santa Claus, but Seth Applegate definitely got laid that Christmas Eve night.
Oh man, I would definitely not deny that. We all saw how it was with him and Mary at the end there.
Oh yeah.
There was some action about to be had. You know, I know one movie that you really do love is Scrooged. So
Yes.
it's, which actually, for anybody listening, if you ever go back and watch the Chainsaw Awards, when Steve won the Chainsaw Award for Amityville Christmas Vacation, was you quoted Bill Murray from Scrooged in your speech, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yeah. I asked if I could do that bit and they could like take me off stage when they were ready, but I had the whole thing ready to go and memorized. Well, I'm glad they stopped me because if they didn't, I would have been in tears by the end. Because that monologue is exactly how I feel.
Yeah. But so it's not surprising to me to see how much you love this movie. I do find there's some interesting kind of parallels to some of the themes in Scrooge here. Obviously, the Christmas movies, you know, Christmas Sleigh being the comparison, the commercialization behind something that's supposed to be so pure and wholesome. And like the guy's shutting down the whole production because he doesn't want to swear in front of kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's a lot of interesting, like, my God, this is such a lovely Christmas movie. I can't believe I actually never seen this.
The line Joe has when he's just like, I don't want to say that language. And he's like, oh, it's nothing the kids have never heard before. And the fact that Joe just like really gets serious and says, not for me. Like that gives me chills every once in a while. Like it's so.
There's a lot of sincerity.
That would be what Fred Rogers would say.
Yeah.
You know, if he had to get like a movie role, he'd be like, no, I'm not going to swear in front of the kids because they haven't heard me swear. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, Fred Rogers. Yeah, exactly. Great comparison there. I mean, I kind of felt like that was the sort of character they're trying to make of Joe Carruthers in this.
Yeah.
A very Fred Rogers type, or Fred Rogers maybe past his prime. I don't know.
I also noticed the set designer in this did really, really well differentiating the actual Santa sleigh in the kind of Christmas house in the movie. It was very basic. But
Mhm.
then when you get to actual Santa and his sleigh and the reins on the sleigh are Christmas lights.
Yes.
Like everything when it comes to actual Santa has so much detail in the costumes. Like the outfit has tassels. It's very, very vibrant. The characters are
Mhm.
very fun. And then as soon as you get in the studio, it's like very, very simple and almost like Hallmark cardy in a way that they're afraid to be gaudy with the
Mhm.
costumes and with the set deck and with their characters.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
And actually, I found the set design, I found the art design throughout this whole movie to be like, okay, so comedy movies especially family comedies of the era, are not necessarily always known for their set design, art design, stuff like that. But then at the same time, there was also this era of high-end, high-concept comedies that I think this would kind of fall under. Like when you look at Santa's suit that we talked about earlier, Kayla and I, when we were watching, the tasseling all over the suit, these extra little details that they add in for a movie that in reality probably did not need the level of detail that was given.
No,
You know
and
what I
that Santa suit's in like what 5 minutes of the movie at the end.
Yeah, and it's got that
Yeah.
beautiful tasseling going across it. It's got like, yeah, it's for a first suit that's only seen for like 5 minutes. And we see this throughout. Exactly what you're saying about the difference between trying to create a Christmas set in the movie versus how a Christmas would actually feel and how it would actually run through. Like that set, reminded me of, I don't know if you guys ever watched it, was many years ago, Stephen Colbert did a Christmas special on Comedy Central. Steve, you may have seen it.
It sounds
years
familiar,
back.
but
It came out probably close to 20 years ago now, realizing how long ago 2005 was. It was very similar to that. It had that kind of cabin in the mountains kind of setting,
Okay.
walking in, the one, the 3 walls with the 4th wall only being where the camera is, like that whole set. So it's kind of interesting to me seeing that and seeing how sincerely that is how they would have actually done that back then.
And they did have a sleigh on set, not specifically in that room. I think you walked past it later, but it
Yeah.
was so basic. It
Yeah.
was just like this red wooden sleigh.
Yeah.
And it was really boring. And it was like, oh, okay.
Oh man.
What the one with the NOS button?
The mouse button is hilarious. So Jim Varney in this, I would have to imagine that there was some level of improv here. Was Jim Varney known for a lot of improv?
Especially when he worked with John Cherry, for sure. He understood the Ernest character so well that there was definitely plenty of examples and plenty of stories of Jim just going off, or John telling Jim to go off. And I can't tell exactly what was written to script and what was added by Jim. It's so hard to tell. Because he's such an incredible actor. And I do think one of the fun things about the Ernest movies is that you get to see him play multiple characters. What did you two think of that as your first experience with Ernest?
I loved it mainly because it very much reminded me of that era of movies of like Fletch.
Yeah.
And not just the costume and disguises part, but I mean, the whole tone kind of reminded me of like Christmas Vacation and a mix of those and some of the old Chevy Chase movies. So I thought the idea of Jim Varney, this rubber-faced character actor, having the ability to play, you know, the snake handler. And my favorite was playing the governor's assistant in the prison.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Holy shit. It was fantastic. Because, like, in this exact moment, like, that could have very much just not been Ernest. Like, that could have been a character in a completely different movie, and he sold it, I thought.
Yep.
I liked the mother character.
And
Like,
Auntie Nelda.
literally spilling over the desk and you can see the chin.
Oh my god. The line of like, please, where's my son? Since I had to walk from the airport, I will be dead soon. And tears every time.
Isn't it bad when you have a good son and a bad son, and the good one dies? Like, and this is also why I brought up the Fletch comparison. It reminds me of Fletch Lives, the second one.
Yes.
When he goes into the fucking biker bar, and it's like, there's the whole idea of like, yeah, you got this guys to go inside, but also just quickly make sure you cause a lot of problems while you're in this outfit for no additional reason. Like,
Yeah.
I just love that whole joke that you get with extreme in disguise sequences like that.
I agree with your point on the Fletch comedy. I also think that the two elves, my two other favorite characters, are just straight up in a Naked Gun movie. Because they're taking everything directly, like, seriously when they have the little trench coats and everything on. The costumes designer Peter Mitchell really did his homework there. Like, he really... Yeah, Peter
yeah.
Mitchell was great with that. Like, he got the assignment. He's like, okay, this is ridiculous, but it's all serious.
So one thing I actually want to talk about here, one thing I really enjoyed, this movie actually took some time to build its own in-universe rules and lore about Santa Claus. And I think that's an interesting amount of effort for a movie of its time and its era and frankly its purpose to actually do. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are going into this or watching it for 90 minutes to watch a heartwarming Christmas tale and watch Jim Varney do his thing. But what I did find fascinating is like they're adding things in, like the torch has to be passed before the fire goes out. And it's been a different Santa. I've only been Santa since the 1800s. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, Steve, did you see Violent Night?
Yeah, of course.
So kind of like a similar idea there in the sense where they're kind of going at the idea that this is one Santa and a succession of Santa over how many years, right? I think that's pretty fascinating idea that, like I said, for a movie that doesn't really need to explain it, they took a lot of time to actually building some lore on this.
I mean, I always say, like, I have 3 #1 ranked Christmas movies, but for different aspects of Christmas. One is Christmas Vacation because it's focused so much on the family aspect of Christmas and trying to survive that part. Jingle All the Way because of the commercialism aspect and trying to live up to your children's expectations, which is a huge aspect of the holiday. And Ernest Saves Christmas because of the magic of the holiday. And this would not be the #1 for me as much as I love Jim and John Cherry and the film and it makes me happy. But this is so important to me because it does care enough to build that lore, to introduce these rules that it's like 6 to, and it makes sense. And I love that idea. That way you can get different Santas over the years, and why you wouldn't necessarily have the exact singular same guy from thousands of years ago. Who was the first? It doesn't really matter. All we know is that Seth Applegate has to pass it to Joe Carruthers or Christmas is dead.
Yeah.
And it gives stakes to the story, too. You know, many of these Christmas movies are, if we don't do this, Christmas is ruined. And I don't always feel those stakes, but this is definitely one of the films where I feel it.
Because there's definitely a point in this movie, like it's a Christmas movie of the era, and we all know we're going to have a happy ending, but there's definitely a point where you don't know if Joe is going to go with it. Like,
Yeah.
he does a good job selling disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Who the heck was this actor playing Joe again?
Oh, Oliver Clark.
Oliver Clark, my God, I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff too. Excellent character actor, like many here, and he's just got that face and that look.
If I
But-
was able to make an Ernest Legacy sequel and Oliver was still acting, that'd be the one cameo I'd fight the hardest for, because Santa owes Ernest, so he would help Ernie Jr. out.
Earlier this week, you were talking about watching this movie for the podcast. On your Facebook, you mentioned John R. Cherry and Jim Varney have contributed more to your comedic sense or sense of humor than probably any other filmmaker. Would you like to actually dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, again, this the whole live action cartoon, the aspect that I've already talked about. But I even put in that post, like when it really hits me is little tiny lines that'll just come out of nowhere. Like when Ernest says, "Let's move on to what I like to call Plan B," and he holds up two fingers, and it's such a subtle joke. A lot of people probably miss it, and it doesn't even click. But oh my goodness, Jim, I saw what you did. That was very funny.
Oh, man.
But it's a lot of stuff like that. The multiple characters. The fact that Ernest is basically a cartoon. Like, he doesn't die. He cannot get hurt from what he goes through. Flipping all the pancakes in the air.
I love
Having
that
a
gag.
full conversation. Walking around the counter, pulling out the plate, and then all the pancakes fall. Holy shit.
I loved that gag. And what I do love about that too is like, we're all filmmakers here. We all know how technically difficult that gag actually probably was.
And that's another gag from the commercials.
Oh my God, you're
Yeah.
kidding.
Except in the commercials, he didn't walk. So it was like him tossing up the pancakes and like John R. Cherry in a ladder catching the pancakes and then trying to drop them all onto the plate one at a time.
Oh my.
This gag is an evolution of the commercial gag.
That would have been a great day to be on set, just to figure out how to do that gag.
This is the Muppets feat of this gag. People will go to this movie to see the evolution of this gag.
It took 100 takes, just like Sam Raimi getting the tray practically in Spider-Man 1.
Did it actually take 100 takes for this?
No, it took Jim Varney one take. It's Jim Varney.
Oh, man.
It's just a lot of that stuff. And like, it's just this exact level of silly, but with heart. It's kind of like, I think it's not this movie, but someone described a concept of like a parody, except it's made with love, not mockery. This is a silly, over the top, wacky comedy that is silly, and the world makes no sense, but the story makes sense and the characters make sense. And I think that's when I look at a lot of my own library, I actually see a lot of John Cherry and Jim Varney influence in the exact same sense.
I mean, your work tends to have a very animated kind of quality to it, so that does make sense.
Oh, for sure. And like my Wally Griswold character from the Meowy movies and Amityville Christmas Vacation and now Wally Meets Popeye, I've been calling him my Ernest P. Worrell for years at this point. Because like I could just put him into any situation and he's my live action cartoon with the heart of gold, but he's a dipshit.
And now he is fighting Popeye.
That's delightful.
Oh, man.
I love the continuity of his injuries. The part in the movie that made me laugh the most was when he had all of the snakes in his face, and then the very next scene, there's just nothing.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't even have bites.
I love that's such a great moment for the Ernest character because he is purposely going out of his way to release the snakes like as humanely as possible as they're all over his face. Like he didn't have to do that. We didn't have to see that, but like that's such a clear, purposeful choice that John Cherry made of like, no, we need to see Ernest like putting the snakes back in the wild. And I love that.
Like, no pun intended. Look at this idiot.
Yeah.
But he's so kind-hearted, though. Like, the first thing he wants to do is help Harmony, or Penelope, I think was her name.
Yeah, Penelope's her real name.
Yeah, before he even knows he's Santa Claus, he knows he's a guy who needs help.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
And I think that's really the heart of it. And really, that's the heart of a lot of Christmas movies that people tend to forget. It's about helping one another. It's about
Doing good for goodness sake.
doing good, perfectly well put. Yeah, doing good for goodness sake. And in this case, he's definitely doing it not at his own convenience. He lost his job over it in the first 10 minutes. It's really adorable. And it's like some of the actual physical gags in this too are just hilarious. And it's the type of comedy that you don't really see much anymore. I mean, the most recent example is the Naked Gun reboot. And that's maybe even getting a little fast and loose with the type of comedy I'm talking about.
Yeah, like that goes even farther. This is
Yeah.
like such a very specific, like, there's not too many comedy gags where Ernest pulls out a suitcase and rips and he just kicks the guy's luggage under the cab as if that solves the problem. And like, it's just a 2-second joke and he's throwing the guy on the, in the luggage ramp.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
assume that man got to his plane just fine because everything works out for Ernest.
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah. I mean, he got to his plane more than fine. That's all
Yeah.
I have to know. I also love the actor there. I don't know if that was an actor proper or like a wax statue. Because for a long period of time, there, every time Ernest is trying to move him, he's completely frozen, holding
Yeah.
the. I was wondering if that was like a prop person.
I assume it was an actor because the prop person would cost too much for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
My favorite part of that gag is when he actually falls out of the car. Like, they could have
Oh my!
stopped it and you're being shocked, but he actually just falls out of the car and having to go back and get him.
Like in a movie like that, in a movie that obviously didn't have the world's biggest budget for these sorts of movies back in the day, to actually do a traffic-based gag where you're having cars go in the background, where you're like, that was an expensive moment to just do a
Oh, yeah.
gag of somebody falling out of a car, and I love the commitment to that with this sort
Or
of thing.
him going on reverse on the highway to get the tree. Yeah.
You know, actually, the movie that does remind me of it in that regard, but that type of comedy, is Barbara and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. It came out a couple years ago with Kristen Wiig and Amy Mumolo.
Mhm.
But it's very similar to that sort of sense. That's sincere, but animated over realistic. Like where
Yeah.
the moral is the moral often is, what's the funniest thing we can do in this instance, as opposed to
Yes.
how do we progress the story necessarily.
Yes. I completely agree.
So Jonathan R. Cherry and Jim Varney going into this, their second movie at this time, and you said that they did 4 theatricals for Ernest, correct?
For Disney, specifically.
For
5,
Disney?
5
Okay.
totally for Ernest. Because then the deal,
Okay.
after Scared Stupid, the deal with Disney kind of like the contract ended. Disney didn't want to renew it because there was a bit of a diminishing returns at the box office. They made money on all of these, don't get me wrong, but like Scared Stupid made less than Jail, which made less than Christmas. 4 theatrical for Disney, then Ernest Rides Again, which they did a theatrical solo, and that didn't do well theatrically because they didn't have the Disney marketing budget anymore.
I think this was the most successful one, though. I think this
Oh,
made
yeah.
the most money.
And deservedly.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I was actually I'm always amazed when I see kind of movies from this era too, just because like I'm a big fan of character actors, and I'm always it always surprises me. Like Douglas Seal is a perfect example of somebody that you don't really necessarily expect to see pop up in a movie like this, but he brings such like gravitas to the role of Santa Claus in this, and like in the same way that, you know, playing it straight, playing it like you'd probably be playing it as Santa Claus. Like I used Miracle on 34th Street as an example earlier on, and I think that's probably a good example of what I'm saying. Like he doesn't play this like the Santa Claus in comedy or an.
No, you could put this Santa into any other Christmas movie and it fits because he's Santa.
He's genuinely Santa. All he cares about is the happiness of the little boys and girls. And
Mm-hmm.
I love when he thinks people have betrayed him or aren't showing up, you can actually see his heart breaking because he
He's
believed in
hurt.
them, and he's now upset and disappointed and worried. And he's also human. He's not like an
Yeah.
all-knowing Santa who knows it's all going to turn out right.
Yeah.
He's not a caricature of Santa. He's not
Yeah,
a
it's a Santa
two-dimensional
who
version.
punches people in the face.
Right. And yeah, like exactly to your point there, like when he realizes the bag is feathers and when he picks it up, he knows Harvey stole it. He's so upset when he's trying to show it to Joe, and then when Harmony shows back up and he stands up, like that moment brings me to tears because that is Santa's faith in the goodness of humanity being rewarded. That is him being proven right. You know, trust people. It works out more than you'd think. And even then, he's just like, well, there's a brief moment when I thought you wouldn't come around because like he's human.
And I do love that, just balancing the idea that you can have as much faith as you can in these people. There always going to be that percentage of doubt, especially when they've given you reason to doubt.
When it's right in front of your face,
Yeah.
looking at the absence of the person.
Oh, man. Harmony, Noelle Parker, she was fantastic in this movie.
Really
I actually
good.
want to point out, she did not come across, like, I was very much expecting a Valley Girl stereotype, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Or sort of a stereotype of, like, I don't know if anybody here has ever seen the Garbage Pail Kids movie, but you're nodding your head. You've seen it. So you remember the girl in the Garbage Pail Kids movie? Yeah, see, that's kind of who I was expecting this. For anybody listening to this podcast, I'm not saying you need to watch the movie, but do yourself a favor and watch the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
It is an experience.
But it's kind of reminds me of that same sort of thing. That's sort of what I was expecting. I was a little worried that they were going to make her a bit of a shadow antagonist in this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I did really like where they went with that because, yeah, Noelle Parker, she played that role so well and with like such level of believability. Like I believe that this is a girl who doesn't believe what she's saying about herself. You know what I mean? Like she's really putting on a mask for herself. And I do like that they played that so sincerely because you got a character like Ernest there who I mean, I'm probably really late to the game on this, but I'm willing to bet the name Ernest has something to do with him being Ernest.
Yes.
That's right, guys. I'm an artist. I catch the subtext, everybody.
This is about the importance of being earnest.
You see, the secret is earnestness will save Christmas.
Yes.
Hence, but what I do love about this, though, is that he really does maintain that mindset that Santa does too, that no, she will do the right thing. You know what I mean? It's like that. You're living on a prayer on that point.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really wonderful message that they went forward with that. You know, the movie's never boring, too. And I also found some of the car gags and physical gags to be pretty damn next level for what we were
Yes.
seeing.
Yeah, because I also wanted to really point out that I love her acting chops being toe-to-toe with Jim Varney during the jail sequence when she's being
Oh,
the
yeah.
governor's niece. Like, she is not overshadowed by Jim Varney, which is insane to me.
Yeah, no, those two worked perfectly in that sequence completely. She was hilarious in that with just that, like, how do you say it? Innocent snark, I guess is.
Oh, yeah, like playing up that ridiculous child voice. Asking the most incredible questions that's just mocking the government and the police force.
Was I like, does the chief get voted in, or did you just buy your way into the job?
She a doll.
Isn't she a doll?
She's like that kid in religion class that asks the awkward questions.
Yes.
And then the teacher has to explain that not everyone is actually related.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kayla here is from Australia. They had religion class in public school growing up.
I was that kid.
But no, I really loved her performance throughout that. Like, she had a lot of range, and honestly, so is Jim Varney. I actually kind of am kicking myself that I didn't get to see Varney in a lot more movies, or that he didn't have more time with us, because it's true. Like, even in this movie, you see his range displayed. Could you imagine if somebody like Tarantino got their hands on Varney for a movie?
Jim is such a good
That would
actor.
be
He's very Shakespearean trained. He was always such an incredible actor, and you see it in every role that he's in. It is a crime that we lost what we should have been 20 more years of Jim acting. Like,
Yeah.
to this day, I curse cigarette manufacturers only for killing Jim Varney and nobody else.
That's the thing.
It's heartbreaking. Like, if you get the DVDs of the commercials, especially the second one, you see some of the behind the scenes stuff, like the bloopers and what have you, and they talk about how they be doing these anti-smoking commercials for kids where you shouldn't smoke it, and they have to keep cutting because Jim can't stop hacking his lungs up because he's such a heavy smoker, and it's heartbreaking to see that.
Which I'm guessing also probably contributed to the voice.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, like,
and I also, what we're talking about, Jim, what a good-looking guy.
oh man, right?
Like, for such a comedic actor with a face made of rubber, apparently, especially when he's playing the government official, like, you see his slick back hair, and he's like, wow, that's a good-looking guy.
Well, like, one thing is, I actually just looked him up right now. If anybody listening to this, if you look up Jim Varney's Wikipedia page, they use a still from him from The Expert, and he is smoking hot in this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm looking at him at the 5 o'clock shadow, something between Tim Blake Nelson meets Pierce Brosnan. It is just deadly.
He's the kind of actor that if he was around today, I could see him being cast in Oppenheimer because he's got that kind of face.
I could have seen him as just Josh Brolin's role, honestly.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Josh Brolin, Jesus Christ. The one from Trap.
Oh,
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, yeah.
The other Josh.
Oh, man. No, Jim Varney was a very handsome man in this. And, you know, it's a very interesting, too, because it's also, he is handsome, but also it's an interesting era. Because, like, I don't think you have people looking like this, honestly, running comedies. Like, he's an attractive man. But you don't end up having that sort of, he's off-kilter attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
agree.
see that
He's
leading.
character actor attractive. He's not like Brad Pitt, who I would argue is in a leading man's body, but is a character actor.
Yeah, 100%. If they were to do a reboot of this movie nowadays, you'd probably have something like Channing Tatum playing the role. And that's kind of just unfortunately where we're at nowadays. I wish we were at the world where we could have proper character actors leading these things. Half the time, the closest thing you have to that is Steve Buscemi, and they made sure to put the nail on that in the studio by making fun of it. So, but with Jim Varney here, like, I do want to say some of the more sincere moments in this too. Some of the more improv bits of him are when he's probably doing those little one lines like getting behind the slide, be like, "Ah, we are going now to the skies, may the force be with you," like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those little one liner improvs he does. But there's moments of true sincerity here. Like before, when they find out that the sack is made of feathers, and Steve, you mentioned when Santa Claus picks it up and he notices right away. The scene before that, you see Ernest basically wanting to doubt her. He's doubting her. There's that moment of like, Santa says it's okay, we're going to say it's okay. And I think it's wonderful because these little moments of brevity in otherwise a gonzo live action cartoon.
I would also say that really having that actor as Ernest makes the role, like, otherwise this could turn into a movie that didn't age well, where you have the teenage girl who's now being helped out by, like, a near middle-aged man, and it can
Yeah.
kinda come up as creepy in hindsight. But with Ernest, it never does. He just
Yeah.
comes across as a good guy. It never comes across as anything inappropriate or creepy considering the age difference, and it always comes off as something very sweet.
Yeah, like his first line is,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm taking care of her," like a father type figure, and like you believe that completely.
Oh, totally. I mean,
Uh,
the first thing she does when she wakes up is she sees him already rise and shine making pancakes for her. It's like, this
Yeah.
is not a guy to be worried about. He's got fishing shit everywhere. I'm pretty sure he's got a pretty singular personality here.
he likes his pancakes with a lot of butter, don't you?
Oh, man.
Uh,
Okay. I was actually wondering about that. Like, the picking up the butter by the hands, that had to be a Jim Varney thing, right?
well, that was on the original. That was in one of the original ads. At least
Oh,
the hands on the skillet. I
God.
forget about the butter specifically, but I assume that wasn't real butter because why would that be there? So they had to play in that gag at least.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say in terms of brevity and like Jim's acting, I don't want to spoil it too much. But if you get to Ernest Scared Stupid, he has a dog now named Wishbone. Or no, I'm sorry, it's the same species as Wishbone. The dog's name is Rimshot, which 5 out of 5. The dog dies,
Oh, my God.
but the troll kills the dog. And like Ernest, I don't care about the dog dying, but Jim's performance, he is in tears and like he goes from complete broken heart to rage. Like he's like, I'm gonna murder this, and it's so good.
He
And
did
it's
it
like,
before John Wick.
yes, yes. In fact, I wish the John Wick movies were just about Ernest, and that's why he can go down all those stairs and be fine.
Oh, my God.
There's a ton of lore with Ernest. To be clear, the commercials, he has a wife, he has children, he has a whole family. My headcanon is the commercials take place after the movies because I don't want to think that he split up from his family and doesn't talk to them anymore in these movies. So he
And,
did
you
these
know, the
movies,
other
and then he did a bunch of commercial gigs.
And then, after the fact, and somebody meeting Ernest and be like, oh, here's the guy who fought for our country, ran a summer camp, saved Santa. Yeah, he's clearly pretty nice. He's got a lot of careers behind him. I
Yeah,
think he's pretty solid. I'm going to have a couple kids with this guy.
yeah.
I can see that.
Got a reference here from Santa?
It's from the actual Santa.
He flew the sleighs.
So some jackass comes up to you and says he knows Santa and flew the sleigh. You just bound to believe him? Well, I'm not going to doubt a veteran, sir.
But I also want to take a moment to shout out the Marty Brock character, which is clearly John Cherry making fun of every agent he has ever dealt with in his life.
Yeah. Oh,
That
man.
character wins me over. John is great at this. I can look at any of these Ernest movies and point out an example just like this, but the fact that he establishes the Marty Brock character instantly by parking in front of a children's museum and not even looking at a mailman and tossing the mailman his keys, assuming it's ballet. You know everything about this character instantaneously.
Yeah. And I mean, every single line of dialogue they give him is like so precise, just to make you more and more slimy and unlikable. And I do
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Just the way they go. I mean, yeah, it's like what you're saying. It's like you can tell. And John R. Cherry's coming from a history of commercials. There's a very good chance he's dealt with more than enough of these people who are probably far worse than what we're seeing here.
They also cast someone with a lazy eye to be the agent too.
So he did have a lazy eye, didn't he? Yeah. Oh man, and considering when this movie was made, I wonder if that was intentional casting on that front.
I imagine it was.
Fair enough.
I liked John's little tiny joke about just how weird the 80s were with the line at the airport.
Ah, it's Christmas, whatever.
Yeah, like Agent Skippy is looking at the passport that says Santa Claus. He just looks over, sees a woman with a hat made of shoes. He's like, yeah, screw it. I don't care.
That's pre 9/11 airports for you.
Yep.
Oh my God. I thought that was bloody hilarious. It's just like showing, all the weirdos traveling on Christmas, everything like that. But this whole movie is like a complete time capsule of a different era. Like, that's freaking Orlando in that movie. That does not look like Orlando.
This was the first feature film they made in the Disney Orlando studio lot.
No way.
Yeah. This was the first one.
Also, the outside of his house was on the studio lot until it was demolished.
Mm-hmm.
You used to be able to go visit Ernest's house.
I've never been to Disney World. I didn't know that.
You're not missing much. Land is better.
I've been to Land twice.
Oh, good. Well, World is the great value version of Disneyland. But I never got a chance to visit Ernest's house. I always knew it was there. I was like, oh, I should go, but I was a bit too young, and then it's gone, so I missed my chance.
When did it go away?
Well, it's been a while.
It was after 1992, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's been quite
like I was a
while.
kid.
been
I
a-
was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, you were a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But like even as a kid, I wanted to see it.
oh, man. So I have to wonder, too, would they have had the Ernest house, like, just completely covered in all those fishing decorations and everything, you think? Or, because I mean,
hope so.
I did the Universal tour before it burned down before the Universal fire. I did the tour back then where I saw the original clock tower from Back to the Future and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some of those houses have been redecorated, this, that for however many movies. But the Ernest, they made like, what was it, like 10 Ernest movies?
Everything after Rides Again was direct to DVD that John Cherry basically made with his own money and some investors. Like no budget after Rides Again was ever higher than $500,000, even when they were still shooting the stuff on 35mm film.
Holy crap.
Jim loved John and Jim loved the character, so even though he was still getting those studio gigs of, Beverly Hillbillies, getting the Hollywood paycheck, then he'd go do Slam Dunk Ernest for John Cherry just to be Ernest again.
That's
They're
delightful.
They're all at least a little bit fun, except for Ernest Goes to Africa. That's the
Not-
only one I'd say is bad.
Not a fan of that one, no? Does it not age particularly well?
Weirdly, it's not racist against Africans, but it is racist against Indians.
Ah,
Huh.
Very,
Interesting.
very interesting.
What I will say is, I'm just looking at this right now, I know you're not a fan of Ernest Goes to Africa, but believe it or not, that was actually John R. Cherry's first appearance before in the Army. He plays customer.
That's why I don't remember him.
I got no foreknowledge of Ernest going into this episode, so I had to drop something.
You got me. Yes.
There we go. And you have been slammed, Rudzinski.
this was seriously great though. Like I've only ever seen the actor in the Beverly Hillbillies, and I would just watch reruns.
I think he was in the movie in the 90s.
Oh, was
so-
Yeah, he was the movie.
He was in the movie. I also used to watch reruns of the TV show on my grandma's TV.
So you've probably come across the movie at some
Yeah.
point.
Australia has a weird history of we used to get movies like 10 years later than everyone else. So the
Okay.
stuff I was watching was older movies.
You guys were also obsessed with Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one to me.
I just want to say, I also appreciate that the live-action cartoon movie rules in this universe apply to more than just Ernest.
Yes.
The fact that Bobby gets crushed by a box and he's still on the box as it's driving away.
That made me laugh my ass off.
Does the weird eye roll thing.
Number one is the obvious one, but I mean, it's the one Steve pointing out though, that flat as a pancake under a box thing. Like that's always just one of my favorite gags in cartoons growing up. Is always the flat on
Yes.
a pancake. So to see it in live action and done so well like that is just like just even the way he's hanging off the box when he drives away is just like. Just the way he's fucking positioned and everything.
His
is
arms
just so
all
funny.
crooked, like it's.
The way to top that is have a piano land on top of him when he's already
Yes.
like that.
Oh my god. Did any of the Ernest movies do a piano full?
Not to my
No.
knowledge. I've
Still,
watched
first
them
that.
all, so there's a chance that a scene is out of my mind, but generally no.
Maybe Final Destination was the first to do that in live action.
That was pretty fun.
And Ernest Goes to Jail, he does become an electricity god.
What?
Oh, well, so there's a murderer in prison, and Ernest gets picked for jury duty, and the murderer finds out that Ernest looks exactly like him. So he switches places with Ernest, and Ernest gets put to death in the electric chair. But since he's a
What?
cartoon, he just becomes like Raiden and is able to shoot electricity, and he escapes prison. But the scene is played so straight, like Ernest is terrified of dying. He's in tears. Everything is so serious and dark, and then he's a Looney Tune, so he's fine.
Holy shit.
See, that's a superhero origin story. I want him
Yeah.
fighting with Iron Man.
What's funny is like before this movie, I always tell people to watch Raising Arizona if you want to see a live action Looney Tunes movie. I always bring up Raising Arizona. But I kind of feel like what I just saw with Ernest, just like I should never recommend that for a live action Looney Tunes again.
But
Like,
Tina too,
it's-
no, I'm sorry, Ernest wins.
Ernest wins 1,000%. It is honestly, I had a grin across my face the entire time watching this movie because there's a certain level of just that unabashed, silly for the sake of silly comedy that we really don't Like, we're starting to get it every so often, but like I said, we don't get much of it anymore, and it just warms my heart to see that there's a time where people's entire process was, let's just make 90 minutes for a family to laugh. You know what I mean? Have a good time.
And alongside the laughs and the silliness and the ridiculousness, it's I've said it before, I'm going to be repeating myself, but I can't emphasize it enough is that this is a movie that still has heart. It still actually has a message. It has something to say. And so that's why it's so timeless to me and why it means so much to me. There's movies that make me laugh just as much as this movie that mean nowhere near as much as this movie does.
Right.
And it's because of how earnestly it treats the Christmas season, the purpose of everything, treating others well, believing in people, and hoping that they will prove that people are good, that men are still good deep down, as Bruce Wayne would put it. And it's like you said, I smile the whole time when I watch this, and I've seen this, I can't even tell you how many times. And it makes me feel so happy that this is your first time with Ernest at all, and you both enjoyed this film. And I think that is a testament to how great these guys were at making these flicks and how meaningful they are and how joyful they are and silly and funny and everything. It is everything that is right in a optimistic comedy film.
I think that is a great quote to go out on. And Steve, thank you so much for coming on to our show today. This has been a blast to talk to you about. Honestly, the movie was just an absolute delight, top to bottom.
It really was. And, you know, to end on another note with a very similar sentiment, I love that it was about flawed human beings proving that they deserve Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just get something to Santa, it's everybody had to do the right thing. If one person didn't, then it was all done.
Prove that you're worth it.
And
is
it
a
was
big one.
And it was wonderful. And I love
It
this
is.
film. And I'm glad I suggested it so that you got to see something for the first time. Is there something you may have seen already?
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that I'm going to be going into the rest of these Ernest movies.
I want to see the horror one.
Yeah, Scared Stupid is great. I would say Camp, Jail, Christmas, and Scared Stupid are full-blown masterpieces. Camp, I would say, is the weakest of the four because it was the first one they made, so I think they're still getting used to, like, what that means for
Early
feature
installment
film.
awkwardness, as TV
Yeah.
Tropes calls it.
Also, just, like, since it was a Disney release, there's a musical number where Jim Varney sings, and it's wonderful and beautiful, but it's not earnest. Like, it's so unlike the character compared to everything else the character does. But I feel like Disney was like, we gotta have music, we gotta have a song. And then after that, they're like, no, John, just do what you want. But thank you so much for having me on the show. Can I whore myself briefly?
This is your whore moment. This is where you get to whore whatever you want.
All right, folks. Well, if you don't know who I am and me gushing about John Terry, Jim Varney, and Ernest has got you interested in my films at all, I have 3 great ways for you to support me. I'm going to give you the order that is best to worst. Number 1, I have a store, silverspotlightfilms.com, where I have all of my movies available physically. I'm up to 18 releases, and you can get them on Blu-ray, DVD, and I deeply appreciate it. If you don't do physical media or you just don't want to spend $180 on movies from some guy you don't know, I understand. That's fine. I have a Patreon, stevebuster.com, where for as low as $2.99 United States dollars a month, you get access to my entire modern Silver Spotlight film library, starting with a Slasher Hunter in 2011 to today, including a couple of shorts I made for the service. There's also a $4.99 tier, which includes every bonus feature I have ever made for DVD and Blu-ray releases, plus a bunch of other exclusives I made for Steve Buster. And if you care about it, that's how you get access to the Silver Spotlight Films Discord. We have some fun in there. And if you don't want to spend any money, you just want to give one of my things a try, that's fine. Most of my films are on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. Don't use an ad blocker, you motherfucker. Let me get my 5 cents for watching my movie, please.
I will also say that Tubi does time their ads very well. Whenever I've watched a movie on Tubi, they don't cut any drama from a scene that you need it to have.
That's because we time our ads for Tubi. So we submit the time codes of where it would be best to put an ad. Like Tubi has the suggestion, put an ad every 8 to 12 minutes. Give us a time code somewhere between 8 to 12 minutes. So it's usually us filmmakers or whoever's job it is, if it's a studio film, actually picking where the best scene breaks are. So that's why Tubi has such good ad breaks. But not all my movies are on Tubi. Like, for example, Curtains for Christmas is probably my favorite movie that I've made because it's a combination of so much that I love. Tubi, unfortunately, hasn't picked that one up, but that's on Amazon, even rented on Amazon. It's on Hoopla if you have a library card and you're in the United States. That's a place to
We
watch
love Hoopla here.
Yeah, Hoopla's. And if you're thinking about renting Curtains for Christmas, it's $1.99 on Amazon. For $2.99, you can subscribe to Steve Buster and get 18 movies. And you can bookmark them. You can keep them forever, even after you unsubscribe. I just ask you not to share the links, please. That'd be really mean. I'm independent.
And we'll have links to Steve Buster and Steve Patreon, as well as links to some of his movies in our bio for this episode and for our descriptions for anybody who wants to check that out.
Absolutely.
And SilverSpotlightFilms.com.
And silverspotlightfilms.com. Steve, thank you so much for being on our show today. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, and it's great that we finally got to talk in person for the first time.
I've actually known Steve for like probably close to 13 years now.
Oh, yeah. I know it was over a decade for sure.
Oh, for sure. Oh, my God.
I've been hearing the name for a long time. This, again, is the first time I've heard the...
Well, I hope I lived up to expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was a very delightful conversation. Everybody, please check out Steve's work. It's awesome.
All right. Everyone, have yourselves a great day. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. If you'd like to show your support, then visit martiniwindow.com and come buy us a coffee or buy yourself some merch.